YouTube. Couple of things I want to talk about. The debates. Several people come out ahead looking pretty good, even though Trump wasn't there. Sanchez and the other dude, I can never remember his name, the darker skinned guy. And the girl, her name's just slipped my mind. But anyways, Chris Christie, Pence, and the rest of them. Chris Christie's a dumbass. I'm sorry, Chris Christie's a fat ass. He closed, I don't know if you remember, he closed the beach during COVID. And then his family went out and sat on the beach like a bunch of fat asses. And he looked like a blown up blimp in shorts. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, Chris Christie, not a chance in hell, buddy. I'd vote for you. And Pence, I used to like you when you was from Indiana, governor in Indiana, but once you became president, your mind went to dumbassery mode. You know, I'm telling you. The others were all right, but there's three that actually kind of stepped up. Sanchez and dude, I can't ever remember that other dude's name, but anyway, the dark-skinned dude, not the black guy, but anyways. And then the woman, I forgot her name, but anyway, they all did pretty good. Here's another thing I wanted to talk about. These law enforcement officers are crackheads for IDs, man. They are crackheads. They are so hooked on, I need your ID, I'm going to arrest you for failure to ID. They don't even know what the law is for failure to ID. But yet they're crackheads. They're crackheads for this ID thing. 3802. Here in Texas, I don't know what year, I have to check it in your state. But 3802 says, hey, unless I committed a crime, or about to commit a crime, I don't have to fucking ID, dude. My Fourth Amendment says, fuck you too. You know? So, I mean, it's freaking weird, man. First thing they come up to, and they say, oh, they tell you, oh, you haven't committed a crime, but we need your ID. Then I'll have to fucking give you my ID. Fucking crackhead. I'm telling you. What crime have I committed? Am I being detained? You know, in Texas, actually detainment isn't a type of arrest. So that means I'm under arrest. So if I'm under arrest, you need to read my Miranda rights. Go for it. But before you read those Miranda rights, I want you to read them to yourself too. Because remember, those Miranda rights goes for law enforcement too. Whatever they say or do can and will be held against them in court of law. So remember that. So, yeah. See, this is the deal. Law enforcement can be held accountable. Excuse me. But anyways, it's actuality. Funny how law enforcement will use the Miranda rights and try to beat you with it, but they forget that it goes to them too. So actuality, those people in those funny little uniforms with the badges and the guns, there's some of these uniforms, cop uniforms, look them up. They look identical to the Nazi party. They look identical to them. Look up some of these police uniforms in these other states. Or even actually in here in Texas too, in some places. They look like the Nazis party. So, yeah. Basically, you got these uniforms. To me, it doesn't mean shit. I don't give a fuck about your uniform. Your authority, you have no authority over me unless I committed a crime. So actuality, these billionaires and these governments and everything that are weaponizing these DOJ and everybody, they really ain't got no authority. Period. I don't care who you are. You ain't got no authority. constitutional rights and freedom says we the people. So I don't have to ID you or anybody else. And if you're a citizen and you walk up to me and say, what's your fucking name? Or you're recording, I'm gonna look at you and say, who the fuck gave you authority? You ain't got no authority over me. You're just the same as me, a citizen. So my constitutional right says if you approach me, I got the right to self-defense. So, you know, Second Amendment. So I'd back off. See, you out there recording, just doing your thing, exercising your freedom, and some of these citizens get offended and they think that they have the right to go approach you and try to tell you to stop. But in actuality, they don't have a right to do anything. They don't have any more rights than you do. So, but yeah, these law enforcement officers of nowadays, man, they are crackheads for these IDs, man. So they'll tell you, we're going to arrest you for failure ID, or we're going to arrest you for something. And I'm like, you know what? Go ahead and try, dude. I'll gladly go to jail for this one. Because this will be a lawsuit because it's a false arrest. You have no crime. So if you arrest me, that means that you just violated my constitutional rights. Because I ain't answering your question. I am not going to comply to any searches and seizures. I do not give consent for those searches and seizures. And I want you to remember, read those Miranda rights. I know I'm repeating myself. I know I am. But sometimes for some stupid people out here, you got to repeat yourself 1,000,000 times before they get to actually get it in their head. You know, some stupid people, they're hard-headed. They don't understand their rights. We got to keep educating people on the rights and the freedom of the people. Because if we don't educate people on the rights, we're not doing our part. If we don't educate them, we don't wake them up. So actuality, anytime you run into somebody and you start this conversation of rights and freedom, you got to educate them. And if a cop comes up to you, you got to educate those cops too. You better know the laws and better know which laws you're talking about. Policies, ordinances, or rules don't trump the Constitution. Even laws don't trump the Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So that means any government agency, any government body, you know, whatever, politician or whatever, cannot violate the Constitution. So all these gun laws and all these ATF bullshit laws cannot violate those constitutional rights and freedom. See, that's where the government has grown so big and they have believed that they have this authority over us, that they don't have authority over us. Even Biden doesn't have authority over you. Even Trump doesn't have authority over you. No, he works for us. So y'all need to understand, it's we the people, we the power. We are the power. The only way we have power is with knowledge, and knowledge is power. So, I'm telling you, we need to take this country back. And if we don't, everything we know, kiss it goodbye, because it's going to go goodbye forever. Because once you lose your freedom, that freedom's hard to get back. It's hard to fight for, and it's hard to stand up against those tyrannical people that have put themselves in power. You look at different countries like Russia and China and everywhere else. China will never be free 100% ever again. See, the China people have given up their freedom. They have allowed this government to come in and just set up this communist rule that they'll never get their freedom back. Never. Not unless they fight against their government and there's a lot of bloodshed. Same thing with Russia. Same thing with all these other places like Islamic ruled places or communist ruled places. The only way you're going to get that freedom back, 100% freedom back, is if you fight for it. You stand up and you fight for it. You bleed for it. Unfortunately, people are going to have to die for freedom. And this is the way I believe it. Because we're on the verge, here in America, we're on the verge of losing that freedom, losing those rights. See, they're working hard trying to destroy and burn and loot and steal and create chaos so they can actually take over and take control. See, a lot of these useful idiots, like I keep talking about, they are the puppets and the pawns for these people to take over. And these crackhead cops that are crackheads on for ID, I'm telling you, it's amazing how hard. I mean, how many times do you have to repeat to a cop, I do not answer questions, I do not give up my ID unless I'm arrested or about to commit a crime or whatever. I invoke all my constitutional rights. You have to repeat it to cops. Cops, man, they don't get it. You have to repeat it 20, 30, 40 times. I'm telling you. When you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, you get tired and get frustrated. They're hoping that they get you frustrated to the point where you do something fucking stupid. And you just flip out, and then they can use something against you in the court of law so they can have you arrested, and they can violate your rights, and they can do it, and they can make it look legal. See, that's what they're hoping for. You just gotta stand firm. I'm telling you. And actually here in Texas, when it says that you gotta present your ID, it doesn't say you gotta give it to them. It says present. Put it up to the window, let them read it. They got the license plate, they got you put it up to the window, put your insurance and everything up to the window. They want to read it, read it. There it is. You don't have to even lower the window very far. You don't have to. There's nothing in the law that's... And then when a cop walks up to you and says, hey, sit on the ground. No, there's no law that says you have to sit on the fucking ground like a fucking dog, or walk over here. No, there's no law that says I have to follow your orders like a fucking dog. I'm not your fucking dog. I don't obey orders like that. Sorry. You tell me to sit on the ground, I'm gonna look at you and say, fuck you, bitch. You sit on the ground. You tell me to move over there just because I'm recording, I'm gonna tell you, fuck you, bitch. You move over there. Fucking idiot cops. These power tripping idiot cops, man, have taken over the law enforcement. The DOJ has weaponized and militarized the police departments. The police departments think that they're at war with us. They literally do. There's a lot of them that think when they get up in the morning, they think, well, I got to go to war. I got to go to war. In some places, it is a war zone here in the United States. In some places like Chicago, Philadelphia, or wherever, God forbid, wherever, it is a war zone. Got all these kids that don't even give a fuck about anybody else but themselves, and they're riding these ATVs and bicycles and everything else down the middle of the road. Yeah, it's a war zone. So I'm telling you, you gotta start waking up. Wake up your neighbors. If you know your neighbors' kids are out committing crimes and all that, it takes you to step up and hold them accountable. Let alone the law enforcement, you gotta hold your neighbors accountable. If you know that there's a drug dealer next door to you, a child trafficker or a human trafficker next door to you, you got to speak up. See, the only way things are going to change is if people speak up. I'm telling you, good law enforcement's going to listen to you. Good law enforcement's going to say, okay, what's going on? Good law enforcement ain't going to charge you. They're going to go after the people you're talking about. They're going to investigate them. And when there's drug dealers and traffickers and people committing crimes, you know, home invasions and all that, those people are going to run like scared rabbits. When people start to speak up, they're going to move from one place to another. And if everybody in America starts speaking up and start standing their ground and carrying their Second Amendment, those people are going to run. They're going to run scared. Because those people that commit crimes are nothing but cowards. See, some of the cops and some law enforcement, some, are cowards. They don't want to do their fucking job. They're too scared to do their job. They come out and they draw their guns on somebody exercising their freedom because they're scared. You know, if you're scared of your job, get the fuck out. I'm telling you. One thing that God detests is a coward. Somebody that's scared to stand up. Somebody scared to speak the truth. So if you're too scared to speak the truth because you're afraid law enforcement or somebody's going to come after you, or somebody that hates you, or says on Bigo or says on one of these apps that they're coming to kill you, invite them to do so. Because even if they do kill you, God will hold them accountable. They'll end up in hell. So when somebody threatens you, law enforcement, I don't care who they are, you have a right to stand up and hold them accountable. And how you hold them accountable is with equal force. If it's just words, let the words fly. Stand back, say nothing. Because at the end of the day, if you're quiet and you're peaceful, the peaceful person will win. The violent person will lose. That evil person will lose. I'm telling you, silence is golden sometimes. I used to hear that from my mother. And she's right. Sometimes silence is golden. Sometimes it's better just to stay peaceful and quiet and let them run their mouth. Because they're going to prove exactly who they are. They're ignorant. They're going to show how ignorant they are, how stupid they are. They're going to show all that. Have a good day. God bless.